Avenir is a global career guidance event to empower students and assist them in identifying their ideal future career path. It was conceptualized by the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Sultanate of Oman. The first Avenir was organized at Indian School Al Mabala in the year 2018. In 2019, Indian School El Seeb conducted the program. Indian School Muscat conducted the first virtual Avenir in the year 2020. Avenir 2021 was conducted virtually by Indian School Al Wadi Al Kabir. In 2022, the flagship school in Oman. Indian School Boshar is all set to fly the flag higher by conducting Avenir 2022 in hybrid mode. Our impeccable planning, devoted team, unmatched resources guarantee a memorable event. The 5-day event will be held from Thursday, October 13, 2022 to Tuesday, October 18, 2022. Prominent achievers, educators, and industry experts will address the audience. Universities and educational institutes from different corners of the globe will present themselves to the audience of Avenir 2022. The event is open to all educational boards, including CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, and IB. It will provide comprehensive career guidance to students to pursue their passions at national and international universities. Avenir 2022 guarantees a wealth of information and awareness on 21st century courses, scholarships, internships, and career placements. This event will assist students in discovering their ideal future career path. Let us gather together for this 5 days of excitement, effulgence, enlightenment, exploration, and exaltation. Let's join Avenir 2022 to discover you.
Science of today is the technology of tomorrow. Quoted by Edward Teller. Good morning, one and
Rayan,
all.
please wait. Rayan, please wait.
Science of today is the technology of tomorrow. Quoted by Edward Teller. Good morning, one and all. Let me take you all through the listings of what to expect in today's session. It is today's second session of the Mega Career Guidance event, Avenir 2022, #DiscoverYou, hosted by Indian School Bausha under the aegis of the Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. The welcome address will be followed by a brief introduction and a video on our eminent speaker. Then we shall invite the esteemed speaker for his presentation. After the presentation, we shall request our guest speaker to answer a few questions raised by the attendees in the question and answer segment. The continuing session will be taken up by the university spokesperson. The detailing of the courses available and the process of admission will be explained in detail. We shall conclude this session with a vote of thanks. Failure can never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. What an inspiring quote by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam to begin the session with.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Avenir 2022, #DiscoverYou, a global career guidance program launched by Indian School Bausha under the aegis of the Board of Directors in the Indian Schools in Oman. On behalf of Indian School Bausha, I, Sri Rangaharani of Class 11,
and I, Rayan Abdullah of Class 7,
take the proud privilege of expressing our profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq Al Said for the altruistic and noble benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower His choicest blessings on His Majesty, and may this nation experience peace and everlasting prosperity.
We are happy to welcome all the students, parents, and teachers for being a part of Avenir 2022 #DiscoverYou. Thank you one and all for your presence here this morning. It's with sheer joy and great pride that I take the task of introducing our speaker today. Professor ARUN JS is an innovative evangelist, a nodal officer catalyst at BASELIOS IEDC Kerala Startup Mission, also an assistant professor department of electronics and communication at BASELIOS College of Engineering and Technology Qualifications. Professor ARUN is an experienced educator with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry. He is skilled in leadership training, learning, management, organizational development, design, thinking, innovation, and entrepreneurship, lecturing, educational technology, and curriculum development. He has upgraded his skills in product innovation, business model innovation, organizational development, and leadership through multiple management development programs in India in the Indian Institute of Management Kozhikode, IIM Kozhikode. Professor ARUN is also working in the Kerala startup ecosystem for over 7 years. He is a United Nations Empretech certified trainer in entrepreneurship and has reached 3,000 students or teachers across the state. We would like to request the audience to kindly post your queries in the question and answer box. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please join me and listen to our speaker, Professor ARUN JS, on his topic, Demystifying Innovation and Entrepreneurship. The platform is all yours, sir.
Sir, could you mute?
Okay. Thank you so much. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you're audible.
So, good morning all. I hope I am audible and my presentation is visible.
Yes, sir, visible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, um, the topic for the day is demystifying innovation and entrepreneurship. And thank you for that very kind and generous introduction given by you. I'm taking the privilege of introducing myself once again. As mentioned, I'm working as a assistant professor in an engineering college in Kerala. And we have this system of inculcating innovation as well as entrepreneurship skills into students, because we strongly believe that that is going to be a key part moving ahead in the future. So yeah, I'll be simply touching upon these words, that is innovation as well as entrepreneurship.
Excuse me, sir.
First,
Excuse me,
yeah,
sir. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt. I will share the PDF because your video is not visible. So better after share the PDF. You can talk.
great, great. Yeah, that's also fine. Yeah.
Okay. I forward. Is it audible? Is it visible, sir?
Yeah, yeah, it is visible. Yeah.
Please continue.
Okay. So yes, so we can move to the first slide. Um, so I hope you'll be changing the slides for me. Yeah. Yes. So our speaking about our species, the human species, we know that we have been evolved from the Australopithecus to Homo erectus to Homo sapiens. So there has been this journey of evolution for about 300,000 years. And yet we can say that ours is that one species which faced all these challenges, or whatever adversities being thrown to him has been very easily overcome, and we as a species has dominated this entire planet in a significant way, right? So from even very early ages, we can see that why human beings could do all these superficial things is because of their intellectual capacity or adaptability. And of course, this formal and structured education was an essential add-on to the changes which we could bring in. So speaking about education, we know that our systems have been um, enriching us for so many years, but yet there is one strong point to be debated upon: how conventional it is, how much change is needed in all these areas. If I simply throw up a question asking how many of you wish to see a change in the current educational system, then I guess almost everybody will be aligning to that side, that we definitely should see some sort of some sort of change that is happening in the current educational system. So I wish to recall one video from a person called as Prince EA. Let's stick on to that same slide, ma'am. Yeah, yeah. So in a video, Mr. Prince depicts, or he pulls in a comparison between automobiles 300 years ago and automobiles that we see today, and we can see massive changes. And he also pulls in parallel between a mobile phone or a telephone that existed, let's say 100 years before, and a telephone today. Massive difference is there. And then he comes to a classroom which existed 100 years ago and a classroom that we see today. So there is absolutely no differences. That is what he is claiming, because then also the teacher was standing and the students are sitting in rows and listening. Now also it is the same, is the kind of way in which our system has been working. But let's rewind to pre-COVID period, right? So until then it was like that. And once we got hit by this pandemic, something significant happened, and we started engaging in all these kind of digital platforms, which kind of enriched the way in which education is being seen. But yet I strongly believe that there are a lot many possibilities are yet to be explored in the field of education, because when if I call my school days as a kid, the teacher or the faculty who comes to our class to teach a subject, let's say a mathematics teacher, he or she was the only window for us to explore that particular area. But let's say in these days, if you want to know a new concept, let's say for example, let's say artificial intelligence, or some random topic like let's say what about genetic kind of some genetic topics or genome editing or some topics like that, you can very easily find a YouTube video, or some content creator might have created and pushed and a very easy to understand topic, or in the form of a video or a blog or something like that. So there are so many platforms available these days to get connected with knowledge, right? So yeah, we can move forward to the next slide now. So speaking about the conventional system, um, more of a focus was always given to this one point called as literacy. And I'm representing the state of Kerala, and which is always proud to um, showcase itself as one of the highly literate state in our nation. But here is a time where we should actually think whether education is all just about literacy, or we should do a kind of reality check over here. So there is this one very popular TED talk by Sir Ken Robinson. You can search for it. We don't have the time to go through the entire video, but you can definitely search for TED talk by Ken Robinson. The most viewed talks in TED is by Ken Robinson. He mentioned this one point very significantly, that creativity is as important as literacy when it comes to education, and how much importance we are giving to creativity when we try to learn something. It's not the kind of education system which I'm speaking about, that the entire responsibility is being thrown to the schools or colleges. No, it's not like that. Whenever we try to learn anything, what is the dimension through which you can approach that, whether and creativity as an entity, where it stands. Yeah, we can move forward, man. So to explain what creativity is, that's my is there any problem? So I'll just touch upon what
1 minute.
creativity is. Yeah, I can't see the screen. Yeah, next slide. So yeah, what is creativity? So here I have a random image of a cloud. So in our childhood days, yeah, even now also, whenever we simply see the sky, we kind of see such kind of combinations of clouds, and we tend to imagine that, okay, it's kind of some shape, right? So in this cloud, you can imagine that when I throw these questions to school students, they come with several different sort of answers. Somebody will come and say that it looks like a rabbit. Somebody will say that it looks like a scooter, or somebody will say that that is a big blue whale kind of thing, and somebody will rotate the image, flip the image, and they'll come up with alternate answers, like it looks like a horse, face of a horse, or a seahorse, or something like that. So definitely we'll get so many different and interesting answers. So what is creativity in this? So there is this wild capacity for imagination in all of us. Somebody, if I gently push a question, how many of you are creative? I don't think everybody will be confident enough to raise their hands and say that they are creative. But this capacity is there in all of us. This capacity for imagination is there in all of us. Are we fueling it up sufficient enough to make use of that skill or that ability in whatever things we do? That is the question. Next slide, ma'am. So here you can see a very interesting creative example, which is being thrown by the company called as Jeep, which you will be familiar of. So this is an advertisement by Jeep. What you can see in that image, you can see two different animals. One is a husky and one is a camel. And at the point which these two animals intersect, you can see the shape of a Jeep. So for me, it is a very creative depiction of creativity. advertisements, a very good example where you can see a lot of creativity. And through these animals, they are implying one additional point as well. Husky is an animal which is found in polar regions, and you know that camels are found in deserts. So it again indicates that Jeep is a multi-terrain vehicle which can be used in both these areas. Very, very simple concept, but explained in a very simple and elegant manner, conveying a lot of information. So this is the beauty of creativity. You can see creativity in almost every area which we see around these days. Maybe 2 centuries back, there wasn't much space for creativity in most of the fields. But in these days, in every field, let's say cricket or music or whatever field you can choose, education, whatever field you say, there is a very prominent role of creativity in almost every field. Yeah, moving forward. So what is creativity? If you ask, I'll tell creativity is nothing but connecting things differently. When we think of an advertisement of a Jeep or an automobile, nobody will initially think of these two animals and connecting them in, right? Or if we say, looking at the sky, that it is a giant rabbit there, or we used to see the moon and say that there lives a giant rabbit in the moon, then yeah, that itself is creativity. We clearly know that it is not the truth, but our imagination is taking us there. So thinking differently is there in human beings, and that is the one key thing which differentiated us from other species. And how good we are in fine tuning that creativity in us to apply it in whatever stream which we are going to work on. I clearly know that you people are in the verge of a transformation from school education to college education, and later on you're trying to get graduated and enter into the broader domains, and definitely you're going to or you people are the generation which we believe that that are going to bring that sort of transformation and make life much better in this planet. So always keep this in mind, that this is one tool or one weapon that we should carry along with us in whatever stream we push forward in life. Yeah, moving forward. So there is this one very popular quote by Pablo Picasso, that every child, he says that every child is a born artist, and the challenge is to stay, but every child is an artist, but the challenge is to stay as an artist as you grow up the ladder. It was mentioned by Pablo Picasso because in most of the scenarios, this sort of random or wild or imaginative things are not being appreciated in the way it really wanted to be appreciated. So there is this resistance from the man who is always out of the box. There is this sort of inacceptance to those people who come up with wild ideas, but definitely all the changes which we see around in today's world is because of such wild thoughts. So what is the importance of creativity in a presentation like innovation and entrepreneurship, which I want to mention? I want to say that, moving on, ma'am, I want to say that creativity is that one single thing which will fuel you up for the further innovative action that comes to reality. We all know that we have this superficial weapon in our head called as the brain, gifted by God. And there is this one study which mentions that right side of the brain is responsible for all sort of creative thoughts, and left side of the brain is responsible for all sort of logical thoughts, right? So there are studies which says that people who are dominant in the right side of the brain are mostly very good in arts or drawing or music or imagination or stuffs like that. But definitely there are also studies which disproves this sort of thinking as well. But the real fact is that it can be trained. Everybody can be trained in both sides. Even if you feel that you're not that creative, there are very structured techniques, as well as tools, as well as thinking patterns, which can be deployed to get the most of your right side of the brain as well as your left side of the brain. So the ultimate aim should be to identify that there are things like this. Even if we are not that great in the areas which we believe, definitely we can try ourselves and get an improvement in the way that is possible. Forward, ma'am. So I'll take a short moment here. This is one very small exercise which we do with with our students whenever we get similar sort of sessions or interactions. Mostly it works in an offline mode. Yeah. So what you can see is in this activity, there are so many words written on the screen, and what you have to do is you have to read the color in which these words are written, not these words directly, but the color in which these words are written. For example, yellow is written in green, blue is written in red. So what you have to do is read those colors straight away, right? Like green, red, purple, in that order. You have to try reading faster. I'll just pause for a moment. Just try that. Yeah. So what we can see is that if we try to read in a very faster pace, we'll get stuck, right? That is because our right part of the brain and left part of the brain are trying to get over the best of the other, and one side is trying to read the word that is in front of our eye, but the other side clearly knows that no, that is not the instruction given to me. I want to comprehend and I want to understand the color in which it is written, and I have spelled that out. So this sort of conflict will happen whenever we try to do similar sort of exercises. Moving forward, ma'am. So yeah, coming to innovation, that is the first word which I mentioned. So what do you believe? What is innovation? And I was actually super proud to see this tagline which is mentioned along with the school name, Indian School of Bowsher. And with that, you have this wonderful tagline: educate to innovate. So that innovation term is being captured as a value or a value system for the entire working of the school. Is so happy to see such kind of a initiative from the new age schools. Yeah. So what is innovation? We can say again another very familiar word you can see in the screen itself near the event Avenue 2022, discover you. So there is this word discover, invention, innovation, and are all those the same, or is there any sort of differences between them? When you see discover, it means something is there, something is present in the nature. For example, let's say we say Christopher Columbus discovered America, right? America was there already. So he just explored and he revealed that particular nation, and he named it as the United States of America, let's say. So it was there. So discovery is that one action um, which is kind of revealing of something which is already there. Invention, we say a lot about so many inventions like radio, or inventions like the bulb, gramophone, right? The flying machine, Wright brothers, right? Wright brothers invented is the word which we mention. It's not Wright brothers discovered or Wright brothers innovated. We don't say like that. So what is that invention? Invention is all about coming with something new with the help of things that are already there in the nature. So coming to innovation, we speak a lot about innovation these days. In some early ages, let's say 1800s and 1900s, we used to see a lot of inventions, like the examples which I already mentioned. But in these days, we are hearing this word innovation in much prominent manner, right? So innovation is all about improvement or improvisation, and we should always think in this way that we can take something that is existing there It can be a product, it can be a process. You can do some sort of tweaks or changes or modifications to that. And if that modification is helping to improve the utility of that particular product, then definitely, yes, you can say that you have done some innovation. For example, let's say the greatest example for innovation is the mobile phones which we have. And from the rotary phones which we had years back to the press button or the phone with switches, then we had the codeless phones, right? And then we came to mobile phone, and every now and then a new feature is getting added to it incrementally, and it is making our lives easier as well. So it is that sort of incremental sort of innovation. So one wonderful example for innovation is the mobile phones which we have in our hands right now. From the black and white screens to the color screens to infrared, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, camera, internet has been a disruptive addition to the product, right? So a very good example for innovation is mobile phone. Again, once again, I just want to touch upon what innovation is. Any process which you do upon an existing product to make some sort of improvement, right? Some sort of improvement in its working, or we are trying to improve its utility, then it can be called as innovation. So whatever area we choose to work upon in the future, all these things will definitely give you that extra edge among your fellow members in that particular fraternity. Moving forward, ma'am. So yeah, so as I said, creativity is all about those thoughts, and innovation is all about action. Creativity is thinking up new things, and innovation is doing new things. So you have to put your left as well as right brain into action and come with something remarkable. That is innovation. Moving forward, ma'am. As I mentioned, we can pull in so many definitions about innovation by the great legends which have who have already mentioned or derived certain explanations and all. In that, this is one explanation which I really love, and because of its simplicity. We already mentioned what invention is. Sir Ed Roberts. Ed Roberts was the head of innovation center in MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. He defined innovation in a very simple as well as easy manner. In innovation equals invention plus commercialization, a very simple equation. Invention plus commercialization. I will break this down for the matter of simplicity. Invention, we already know, finding something new, plus commercialization, he has mentioned. What is commercialization? It's not about making or selling a product and generating revenue. You can think like popularization, right? Invention plus popularization, you can see, which means you have created a product and it is popular in the sense it need not be used by millions of people. Let's say I have created a product and at least 10 people are using that particular product. So there is this invention plus there is this usage by at least 10 people. Then adding these two things, you can mention that particular thing as an innovation, said Ed Roberts. So we do several projects, like, right? In our school days, in our college days, you are also going to do several sort of projects. So it will remain as a simple project if it is not being used by any people, right? If you're doing something, if you're coming with a product, then it should be popular among at least quite a few, at least three or five people are using your product. You're getting feedback from them. Then you can call it as innovation, is the definition mentioned by Ed Roberts. Moving forward, ma'am. Then came his successor. His name is Bill Ollett. He simply modified this equation, and there is this one simple change which you can see. In the previous equation, it was invention plus commercialization. Here, what he has done is he simply changed that summation with a multiplication. So what happens when sum becomes a product, or what will be the scale of change that is happening when addition becomes multiplication? Clearly, we can say that we Indians are the ones who invented zeros, right? So if any one of these factor becomes zero, then the entire value of innovation will merge to zero. So if you have an invention and nobody is using it, then the commercialization point is zero, right? In the previous case, you still had some value for innovation, but in this case, if nobody is using it, the entire value of innovation becomes zero. This is one key explanation of innovation mentioned by Bill Ollett, who was the head of MIT Innovation Center. Okay, so whatever thing we do in our life, it should be useful to people around us. That is a simple way to put it, right? Moving forward, man. Ma'am? Yeah. So this can be explained by this another very interesting story of the mouse, which we use these days along with our desktop as well as laptops. The mouse, the actual product was made by the gentleman in the left. His name is Douglas Engelbart. He worked for the company called as Xerox. Xerox is very popular for making all these photocopying machines. So he made this a logical product which is later known as mouse. You can see the one of the earlier versions of mouse created by Douglas Engelbart in his hand. It is a wooden structure with some sort of wheels and gears and all. But they didn't attach this particular equipment or device to any of the popular machines they had those days. Later, you might be very much familiar with the person on the right, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. He visited Xerox and he found this individual equipment very interesting. And he saw the future scope or possibility of that device getting attached to the Macintosh computers. And he converted the shape and everything and all. So he gave some fine modifications, and that's how the mouse became mainstream. So in the initial example, he made that invention, but it wasn't used by anyone. So we'll still categorize it as invention. Whereas when Steve Jobs added that usability factor and connected it to Macintosh computers, millions of people, and even these days we are using the same product. So what Douglas Engelbart did can be mentioned as invention, and what Steve Jobs did throughout his entire life. He's a brilliant innovator, as we all know. Moving forward, man. So that's about innovation. As I mentioned, creativity is the fuel that is needed for innovation, and innovation is the fuel which will propel you towards a journey in the field of entrepreneurship. So what is entrepreneurship? To put it in simple words, entrepreneur is a person who runs his or her own business. Any person who runs his or her own business can be called as an entrepreneur. So to propel yourself forward in the path of entrepreneurship, innovation is going to be one key skill to have on, or one of that prominent weapon in your archery, you may say, to propel forward in the journey of entrepreneurship. So we clearly know that there has been this hype around all these entrepreneurship as well as startups these days. So many students immediately after school or after college are trying to enter into the field of entrepreneurship or trying to propel their career forward with the startups, or are getting associated with startups which have a better growth prospect when we compare with the conventional employment opportunities which we have these days. So I'll mention what are the three main primary motivations which you need to have a career in entrepreneurship. Can we move forward, ma'am? So three primary motivations I have mentioned. One is you see yourself as very good at something and wish to do that more and more. If you really enjoy doing something, you will never realize how long you have been doing that, right? On the other hand, if you don't really like something which you do, definitely that can be termed as stress. So doing what you like is passion, and doing something which you don't like is stress. That's it. So if you can identify something which you really like and you're really skilled or you're really good in it, that is the primary motivation that you need to have to select entrepreneurship as your career option. As I mentioned, entrepreneurship is nothing but having your own business, right? The second one is you see a problem and you strongly believe that you can solve it by bridging the available resources around. You need not invent something new like the bulb um, or radio or something like that, but you see something, so you see a gap in the current system, or a gap that might happen in the future world, that is going to create mm, some sort of a difficulty to the human beings ahead of their life. If you can find that problem, that is an opportunity, right? You can convert that as an opportunity if you can solve that particular problem. So you see a problem and you strongly believe that you can solve that particular problem. For example, let's say we Indians got hit by demonetization few years back, and it was seen as a huge problem by all of the all tiers of the society. Then came this digitization, or companies like Paytm or GPay. It was an amazing opportunity for them, right? So you should have this perspective of looking at a problem in several different angles. In the initial way, it will still remain as a grave problem, but if you can come up with a solution, definitely you can make a lot money out of it, which is the third sort of motivation. You see an opportunity to make money. This is one point which we need to stress upon, because often when it comes to schools or colleges or startups that start from schools or colleges, the normal trend which we see is they won't be focusing on money too much. They'll think that, okay, we'll provide some sort of solution for the society, for a social cause. All those things are absolutely fine, and a need of the day you can mention, but at the end of the day, what you really work upon should create some sort of cash flow. Means there should be some opportunity to bring in money as well. Then only you can properly imbibe that growth aspect in the company which you start, or the employees you attract, or ultimately value to the society. Moving forward, man. So yeah, this is one very popular or significant image which you see in social media these days very popularly. 4 companies have been mentioned. One is Uber, Facebook, Alibaba, and Airbnb. Uber is the largest taxi company in the world. And how many taxis does they own? The number is 0. So world's largest taxi company with no taxis of their own. Facebook is the world's largest media owner, but the volume of videos or volume of content or media they create by their own is very, very limited. Alibaba, world's largest retailer, but they don't have any inventory. Airbnb, world's largest accommodation provider, they own no real estate of their own. So what all these people do, they don't own a physical resource, right? In the previous century, if you want to start a business, let's say if you want to start up and start an umbrella company, right? What are the steps which we'll follow? We'll procure the raw materials, we'll find a space, we'll hire laborers, we'll educate them the technology through which an umbrella can be made, and you'll do the marketing and then sales, and you'll sell the product for a particular value so that you'll get the product. So there was an exchange of a physical commodity back then. Now these days, these companies, they are unicorn companies we mentioned, right? Companies with massive cash flows, right? So they don't have physical resource is what we see, because what they have done, they have made use of internet as one of their propeller, and through connecting the resources that are around, they are generating all these sort of money. So something very, very interesting is happening in the world outside our systems. people are making use of the resources that are around, and simply through connecting them, they are able to make huge amount of value as well as money for their future. So this is something which we should be aware of. We'll be learning something very conventional. On the other hand, the world is propelling forward in a pace which it was never experienced before. And we have been discussing about multiple technologies or multiple things that are coming and disrupting whatever things that are there. We are suddenly speaking about autonomous cars, and there will be drones delivering products to your household, right? So technology is moving in a very faster pace, and definitely it can make things obsolete, which the things which we see around these days can get obsolete in a fraction of a, maybe in 1 or 2 weeks it might happen. That is the pace in which technology is changing. So to um, keep in line, or keeping yourself aligned, requires that extra sort of passion or aggressiveness in you to learn what are the things that are happening around us, and to master it in the way forward. Forward, ma'am. I think I'm yeah. So that's it. One another thing which I want to mention, very popular, very importantly here, is something upon which we need to work upon in this age. That is, we are looking forward for our future professions as well as domains where we can feel yourself comfortable as well as contribute back to the society. The skill that is going to keep you apart from others is going to be the network. Okay, so try to create as many connections with people, connect with, see, today we live in a world, you can even connect with Bill Gates, right? There is this platform called as LinkedIn. I think most of you might be familiar of. In the olden days, you have no opportunity to get connected with Bill Gates unless you are a very technological person or somewhere around his area of interest. Now also it's the same, but there is this channel through which you can get connected with Bill Gates. It's not like hello Bill Gates, good morning, you'll message and he'll reply. It's not like that. Definitely, if the conversation is aligning with his area of interest, definitely there is this channel, or there are opportunities or platforms through which you can connect with people like Bill Gates through LinkedIn or Twitter. So through all these, make use of all these social platforms to get the network strength which you need. Definitely that is going to be one key skill going forward in the next 1 to 2 decades. The people can get you there much easier than maybe much easier than the skills which you have. Forward, ma'am. So yeah, I'll quickly say some of the books which will enrich you with some further knowledge regarding all these areas. All are very popular books. One is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. There is one TED Talk also. Forward, ma'am. I'll just mention 3 books. The another one is The One Thing. It mentions the importance of focus, staying focused at one thing at a time, or climbing one mountain at a time. How you can get yourself isolated from the thoughts of defragmentation or stuff like that. It's a very easy read for people like you. That's why I'm mentioning it's not a hard read. Again, ma'am, next. Yeah, the last one is 0 to 1. It is some lecture notes by a professor and his student, written by Peter Thiel. Very basic stuff regarding things which we see around in our world. And it is a very easy read as well. It's also available as ebook. So I highly appeal to all of you to go through these sort of resources which are even available free these days, and to grab as much as knowledge possible. So yeah, I think I've done. If you have any sort of questions, you can ask, or these are my contact credentials. You can connect me in LinkedIn or Instagram, or these are my mail IDs. You can connect me for further queries or discussions or any sort of things. Yeah, wish you all the best, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be part of this wonderful conclave. And I must appreciate the coordinators who have been taking immense pain in getting things in place. And I really applaud the initiative taken by the school management for organizing such kind of a thing, bringing in all these stakeholders who are going to be key players, and also importantly making our children realize what are the areas or scope of domains out there. So it is a very appreciable effort, and thank you so much for considering me to be part of the panel as well. Yeah, so if there is any questions, I'll be available to answer it.
That was an extraordinary and inspiring session by you, sir. Your creative and fun-filled session enlightened us and kept each one of us engaged. Now we would like to request our speaker, Professor ARUN JS, to kindly answer a few queries. So may I invite the moderator of the session, Mr. Saiju Augustine, to pose some questions. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It was a
Good morning.
wonderful session indeed. We
Thank
should
you,
say
thank you.
that the session was highly informative, educative, and enjoyable. Sir, actually, we have received so many questions from our audience in the different social media platforms.
Right.
See, because of the time constraint, we are actually adding just few questions only. First of all, sir,
Okay.
actually, you told about wild ideas. How
Right.
can we make sure that the creativity and logic is properly balanced?
Creativity and
Logic.
logic. Yeah, definitely. So while creating some sort of see, there are very structured techniques which are being used by the MNCs like Google's or the Netflix or Zomato or companies like that. Whenever they get stuck to one problem, they use these methodologies. One such methodology is called as design thinking. You can simply search for it. It's a very wonderful framework through which you can solve a problem. In that, there are different phases. In the first phase, you'll be doing brainstorming in the sense you'll be simply focusing upon wild and wildest ideas. If there is a very grave problem, how you can eliminate it. Maybe somebody will say that, okay, you simply kill that person. That is one way to eliminate the problem, right? So such kind of wild stuffs people will come up with in the first round, where we'll be simply focusing upon the quantity and not the logic. So you'll get maybe hundreds or 200 different sort of ideas, and in the next phase, people will sit again. They'll converge and they'll put this logic into action. Because in the first stage, if we try to push in some sort of logic, then this sort of imaginative or wild things will not come out. And we being in an educative society, we always have this feeling of being judged. Whenever you say something, you always fear that, okay, the other guy is going to make fun of my idea. So this first round of throwing in absolutely wild things will trigger others to bring in similar sort of ideas. So they can break that chamber and come with logicless things initially. Later, when you move forward, you can see that some of these logicless things which we mentioned in the first hand may come and get integrated with some of the logical things which we say forward, right? So it's like a funnel. So initially we'll be starting with very wild things, and then we'll stick on to the feasible as well as logical things into it. And it is a very wonderful model. Design thinking is there. Double diamond model is another model. All these words you can simply search in Google and everything is available there. So yeah, this is one. Design thinking is one very interesting aspect which you can think of or learn about it. It's going to be a very key skill to have in the way forward.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Anyway, because of this time issue, we are just moving forward.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for all your support and guidance given to the large audience by attending to their concerns so patiently during the course of the discussion. It is time for us to move on to the second part of the session, the time to meet the... Okay. It is time for us to move on to the second part of the session, the time to meet the university spokesperson, Dr. Grace Joseph. Dr. Grace Joseph, MBBS, is the academic head at the Healthcare Academy, ISDC Global, Bangalore, and also the head of the Department of Allied Healthcare and Sciences, JAIN, Bangalore. Dr. Grace has been a physician in primary healthcare with years of hospital experience in Karnataka, Kerala, and the Czech Republic. A graduate of Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, Karnataka, Marymount International School, London, and Dhahran International School, Saudi Arabia. She brings a comprehensive outlook to healthcare practices and goals. As a medical doctor and educator, she is enthusiastic to contribute to the advancing development of medical sciences and global welfare, hoping to inspire positive and productive outcomes. Let us now view a short profile of the university through the video.
Welcome to JAIN deemed to be University International Admissions Office. NAC A++ with a score of 3.71 on a 4-point scale. Rank 79 under the NIRF, the National Institute Ranking Framework. 2,500 plus students on campus and 6,500 plus online students over 50 plus countries. 7 campuses across Bangalore with modern and latest infrastructure. 120 plus programs. Allied Healthcare and Sciences, Commerce, Design, Engineering and Technology, Humanities and Social Sciences, Languages, Management, PhD, Sciences. Your future begins here.
Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction, and good morning to all. Very happy to be here, and JAIN University is very excited to begin this journey with you. It's a very wonderful time that you're at right now, starting off on your professional journey, and every minute and every decision that you make is going to make profound impacts on the life that you will be leading as you go forward into your own individual futures. So today I will not take too much of your time. I just wanted to give you some more options of what you can do as a professional, and in ways, as Sir had said before, that we must always look into how we can help other people, how we can benefit other people. And of course, one of the most interesting and the most delightful ways to do this is to be involved with the healthcare industry. So I know that many of you who are present today, you would be interested in joining some kind of medical profession, and you may be a little confused about what are the options available to you, because most of us are aware of the mainstream professions like physician, nurses, dentists, and veterinarians and pharmacists. But there are still a very large variety of professions and careers that you can choose from, which many people are not that familiar with or not even aware of. So that's what we wanted to do today, to just give you a little bit of information about how you can model your career in a way that will be most satisfactory for you. So I'm just going to share a screen from another device. I hope it is visible. Yes. And so what we wanted to discuss today were the emerging trends in healthcare careers. So we do know that there are a lot of trends going on in healthcare. Healthcare industry is a very huge and powerful industry right now, and there are so many advances going on by the minute. So any time in human history was an exciting time for science, but right now in the 21st century is the most exciting time for medical sciences, because there is so much that we are learning, so much that we are involved with, so much activity and excitement going on in healthcare and in medical sciences. And so we want you to have the opportunity to also get involved in this kind of activities, in these kind of advancements on your own right. And these are very unique specializations which we'll be discussing. And I'm just going to be changing this to a slideshow. I'll just continue for that.
Ma'am, it is near to the Zoom session. There is one Zoom option. Near to that one button is there. It is the slideshow.
Okay.
Ma'am, go to slideshow.
So I guess I'm learning something new today as well. So it's a very exciting seminar we're having. Ma'am, shall I just minimize it, because I think that would conserve some time for us.
Okay, fine.
All right, I'll just minimize the edges. So I hope you can see the slides. We don't have a lot of text actually in today's PPT. It is more a visual PPT where you're going to be getting an idea of what I'd like to discuss with you all. So as I said, we are going to be looking at emerging trends in healthcare careers, because these are very quickly advancing options that you are having for yourself. And as I was mentioning before, that though they are very unique specializations, which the careers we're going to be discussing today, they are also very much interconnected and have a very strong base foundation, which is common. So when you enter into the healthcare profession, you will be having the knowledge of the human body, of human health, of human disease, and all the physical, chemical, sociological, psychological factors which influence human life, so that you can then seamlessly work in different departments and different specializations. So whichever specialization you do choose for yourself, know that you will be expected to have the base knowledge that can be applied in all different specializations. So that itself is opening up a world of other opportunities for you. So be very confident, we're very bold in the type of healthcare choice that you make, because it is something which will give you that foundational start to a career in different departments, different areas of healthcare. As you advance forward in your career, you'll be able to see what really is making you feel an attachment to a particular type of work. So the healthcare sector, as we know, is a very huge industry. It's a global industry. It's a global network of professionals who are working around the clock, 24/7. There is work going on to improve the lives of people, both physically and mentally. And there are different ways in which you can apply your skills, your knowledge, your talents, your attributes to it. So when you look at healthcare as a whole, it can be divided into equipments and services, or pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, and other services. And what many of our students are interested is in personal service, what we would say clinical services and research services and administrative services, so that you are working directly with people who are seeking healthcare service, healthcare help, and you are working with primary healthcare providers, which are the physicians and nurses, to provide people who are not well in some way with the best possible options that they have to improve their situation, to improve their condition. And so, of course, the number one goal that we are looking towards is to improve health at an individual and a population basis. So as we have seen in the previous 2 years and even up to this year, during our global pandemic, we were all very much united in the way that we have come up with creative ideas on how we can improve our social health and, of course, our physical health as well. And that has just been the beginning. There is so much more that now that we have opened our minds to different ways in which we can contribute to healthcare, there are a lot of nice, new, interesting ways in which you can also contribute to the future, so that any time in the future, if we are faced with new diseases, new conditions, we will be able to pool our resources together, pool our knowledge together in a way that's going to really give us the advantage and give us the edge. So when we talk about healthcare professionals, we are looking for people who have a certain attributes. Now, of course, everyone has a certain leaning towards one kind of profession or another, toward kind of industry or another. You know that whether you have a natural affinity towards sciences, towards arts, towards commerce, towards any of the fields that are available to you right now. But more than that, there is a type of personality that needs to be developed or is already in you, which will give you an ability to provide the best for those who are around you. So this is not just for the patients, but for your team members. So when you are working as a healthcare professional in any way, whether you're a physician, a nurse, allied healthcare professional, administrator, in whichever way you enter into the healthcare professions, you are working as a team member, and all of you are equally responsible for what happens to the individual you're working with or to the population or disease you're working with. And so what are the kind of attributes that we're looking for when we admit students into healthcare professions? So it is not just your grades, it's not just your background in biology, chemistry, physiology, biology, chemistry, physics, and it's not just how you perform in a entrance test or an interview. What we're looking for is whether you have that understanding of the responsibility which is going to be coming to you, because these are such strong professions where every second the decisions that you make will make an impact on someone else. So you need to be able to utilize different types of soft skills in order to be the best professional that you can be. That is, of course, what we are trying to inculcate in all students around the world who are entering into healthcare. So you need to be empathetic, caring, compassionate, because you want to understand what another person is going through. You want to be able to put yourself in a position where you can be respectful to the kind of pain or disability or discomfort that they're having. Detail oriented, so you should be able to be very observant, be able to find out small differences which can then make a life or death decision of what that patient is going through. Advocacy, you should be able to speak up and be very confident, be very bold, be very sure of what you need to do for the people that you're working with and the people that you're working for. Communication, and so you can go through this list, and these are the kinds of attributes that we look for when we admit students into a healthcare profession. So have a very honest inward look onto yourself, introspection, and see whether you have that kind of mettle which is required to work in a challenging career such as healthcare, because when you're working in hospitals, clinics, or research centers, it is not as easy as you might see in social media or on TV, movies. It is very much minute to minute challenging career where you're going to be asked to provide the best in very uncertain grounds. So do be sure that when you go into healthcare career, it's not only for maybe status or salary or to make somebody else happy, but it is because you have what it takes to give the best to those around you. So the healthcare professions are very wide, very interconnected, interdisciplinary, and there are more than we can speak about in one session, but just know that it is a part of the healthcare industry. When you look at allied healthcare, it itself is becoming a sub-industry. So this is a section where a sector where we have people who are working to provide certain provisions to the healthcare team, and they will not be the direct primary healthcare provider, but they will be providing the requirements which the doctor or nurse or pharmacist will need to then go forward with the treatment and advice for their patients. So as I said, it is, and if you look at this chart on the right side of the screen, you'll see that medical nursing is often clubbed with allied health, but it is also considered a separate section in itself. They are all equally strong and they are all equally distanced from each other, which gives that sense of equality. So do not have a misconception that allied healthcare professions are second to any other medical profession or that they are parallel. So a while ago, these used to be called paramedical, and that is not the case anymore because they are on an equal department as any other healthcare profession, and we want people to get that understanding so that they can respect the kind of work they do. So the work you do will be equal to that of a doctor, equal to that of a nurse, and remember that every other professional is dependent on your work and every patient is dependent on your work. So once you have an idea of how strong your work as an allied healthcare professional will be, then you will be able to really go forward in your academic and professional career, getting the knowledge required for such a position that you will be putting yourself into. So the kind of programs that you can offer, and I've only looked at programs which are commonly offered in India. So after class 12, I think most of you are in school and just finishing your latter part of your schooling and going now forward into your higher education. So there are a number of different options available, programs which are available to you. MBBS, BDS, pharmacy are often known. Now, allied healthcare and Ayush healthcare, this is also something which is very much needed in the world, everywhere in the world, and you can get the best education here in India. So do seriously consider getting the training that you require for these kind of professions in India, because the professionals who are working here have had that exposure to a multiple variety of conditions or diseases, and they are on the cutting edge level of medical science right now and providing the kind of knowledge that the rest of the world is looking forward to. And so again, what you're seeing right now is only a sampling. There are more options available to you. And in JAIN Deemed to be University, we do offer many of these options for our undergraduate students. And in the second half, you can see even some of the postgraduate careers are also being available at our university. So you can look into a long-term training lifestyle which you are going to be entering into once you come into the graduate and postgraduate programs in India, and you will then be able to cement the kind of understanding that you require to make yourself the best of the best is what we would like to see for all our healthcare professionals, because it is that important, it is that required. Now, when you look at educational growth, so most of you are in 12th or soon getting into 12th, and this is a section, this is a time when you are now entering into your adulthood and you're entering into making individual choices on what you want for yourself and what you want to do for others. So those of you who opt to choose for a career in healthcare, you have already understood something about yourself and why you want to choose a life in healthcare, because it is very colloquially said a noble profession, and it is something in which you can really make a difference, not just to one individual, but to their larger circles of their friends, their families, their employers, and to society as a whole, because the kind of help that you offer to individuals will extend forward, because we all have been ill at some time and we know how disabling it is. We are not able to perform when we are not at our best, and that affects those around us. So the work that you do will be affecting and will be helping so many people in one shot. So once you do your bachelor's, and many people think that only MBBS is available to you, or maybe the bachelor's in nursing or bachelor's in pharmacology, but do know and do keep in mind that whatever kind of work you want to do, whatever kind of creativity is there in your mind, whether it is scientific creativity, commercial creativity, arts creativity, you can opt for a career in healthcare, which is a BA, BCA, BSc, BMS, BCom. And once you have got that fundamental understanding of these professions, you can then go on to a master's. So we do definitely advise that you do a master's after your bachelor's, because that is when you start to really understand your area of expertise, your area of specialization. And moving forward, you can even go forward into a PhD and get a doctoral degree, and which would make you a doctor as well. And that is when you become an expert in your field, and you are able to then project that knowledge onto others who require it in your profession. Okay, and if you're looking at career growth, again, this is very general, but there is a very large opportunity of growth in allied healthcare careers. So you start off as a graduate, and as you move higher in your expertise, in your understanding of the field, you'll be then a senior advisor, you'll be a consultant, and you'll be working in different types of industries. So maybe you want to work in hospitals, clinics, pharmaceuticals, corporates. Wherever you go, you will be getting more senior positions as you're able to prove your proficiency in these particular fields that you're working in. So get that experience, get the knowledge that you have, and then show that you are able to manage those who are still entering into your field, and you're able to manage teams, you're able to manage the juniors who are coming in, and you will become more and more senior. So that is something that you want to do, not just stop with your degree, always keep adding to your library of knowledge inside, so that you can then become a guide and a mentor to those who are newly joining into your area. So when you look at departments of allied healthcare, as I said, what we have shown you is just a sampling of the different types of programs that are available to you. But if you wanted to divide them into different areas, you could look at careers in psychiatry or psychology, actually. And so in psychology, the mental health awareness, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. In fact, October 10th was the day for that. And in psychology, you will be faced with very challenging circumstances, very challenging cases. And so whatever healthcare profession you choose, do remember that every case is going to be very unique, and you cannot have a broad approach to any of the work that you do. Everything will be very specific and very unique, very personalized. So you need to be able to have that kind of focus as well when you're working with these kind of professions. So in psychology, mental health is something that around the world we are very excited about. We're very much appreciative and respectful to the need that is there in the ways in which we can help people in different states. So wherever there are humans, we need psychological assistance and psychological backup. So from childhood right up to adolescence, right up to adulthood, and career psychology, clinical psychology, so severe disorders of the mind and the brain all come under this department. Now, when you look at nutrition and dietetics, that also is something which is very, very strong right now, very much in vogue here right now, because again, we have a respect for what the kind of chemicals that we put into our body have an effect on how we behave, how we think, how we grow, and how the kind of health that we are experiencing. And till very recently, food was not thought to have such a strong impact on us, and everyone was very fine to just eat malnutrition or improper foods or excess or too little of different foods, and that was thought to be very minimal on the effect it had on the human body. But now we know that every single item that we put into our body is having an effect on cells around the body at a micromolecular level. So that's what you want to learn when you go into nutrition and dietetics, not just whether fruits and vegetables are good, but how those fruits and vegetables differ from each other, how they interact with cells in different organs, how do they interact with the liver, with the heart, with the brain, with the vascular system, with the intestinal GI tract, and how can we maximize the benefit we get from those chemicals which are found in foods? How can we minimize the adverse effect that they have, and how can we really start to change the way we process food? Because it is not possible to always have fresh food on the table for large populations. We do need to look into food technology, and the people who are able to guide food technologies and the manufacturers are the nutritionists and the dietetics. And this is also going into very wide fields like sports nutrition and celebrities and politicians. Everyone is looking into finding a way to understand how nutrition can give them the best possible advantages in their life. And no one else will know this science other than the nutritionists. So please do look into that if you want to offer that kind of advances and advice to people. Clinical technology is very broad. So when you go into a hospital, you are aware of the different machines which are there in the hospital. So just like every other aspect of our lives, technology is taking over because it has that kind of benefit to us. It is making everything more efficient. Everything is better, faster, more accurate, more precision. And so in the hospital, of course, we are looking at getting better and better types of technology. So the different ways in which we can use that technology to provide the best healthcare to individuals who come to clinics, to hospitals, to diagnostic centers, that is where you are going to be. So every department will have its own technology. If you're in the ICU, if you're in the operation theater, if you're in the cardiology department, if you are in any other department that you can think of. And we saw it during COVID pandemic as well, how strong the technology was in helping people and how dire was our need for it. So everything from ventilators to the other life support systems that we were using were so much in demand that they became deficient. And the people who are able to use those machines also were so much in demand that there were not enough technologists, medical technologists who were able to provide their services to all the hospitals. So please do enter into that field if you think that you are able to provide that kind of assistance to people. Clinical research is so important and so underappreciated, actually, because this is where medical knowledge starts. This is where we understand what works, what doesn't work, why things are happening to our bodies, why things are happening to our cells, from cancer research to stem cell research to virology. And there are so many ways in which we want to know what is happening, not just at a larger area, but at that a more specific cellular, molecular, and atomic levels. We want to understand why things happen and how drugs and how other treatments are affecting these disease states, and what is the best way that we can go forward in healthcare. So clinical research is very strong right now in the world. So if you look at Europe and North America, every country has a very strong clinical research sector and very strong institutions, very huge institutions, where they are working on different types of interesting and exciting work. And India is, of course, emerging as one of the leaders in medical research. And so we would like to see a lot more people getting into that so that we can also offer that knowledge to the rest of the world from India. So we were historically one of the leaders in understanding medicine, from the natural medicine to even up to our advanced sciences that we have now. And we hope that this trend will continue in India, and we can then offer that to the global community. IT for healthcare and healthcare management go more into the administrative side. So IT in any field is so exciting right now because we have the ability now to use technology outside of clinical setting to provide the best, not just for patients, but to the healthcare professionals as well. We're looking into, I'm sure most of you have read about these advances in IT for healthcare with artificial intelligence, with wearable devices, with the way that we can connect the technology that we have created with the natural biology that we are born with. And so there's a lot that we can work forward into that. And none of this is possible without a strong management team, administrators, business developers. We need people who can understand industry and understand the way that industry can progress and it can become more streamlined and more mainstream and more efficient. So if you have an aptitude for leadership, if you have an aptitude for creatively looking at problem solving, then all of these professions are good for you, but healthcare management is somewhere where you might be able to really contribute in a great way. So when we look at it, it is very similar to what we were looking at the previous slide, is the type of careers you're looking for. Again, each of these areas of professions has under it a wide selection of different specializations that you can go into. So you may, as you do your research, and I would definitely think that after today's seminar, I would like you to go and research about allied healthcare, about the different professions under each of those headings and departments that we had been discussing right now, and really consider where you are best fit for. So we are looking at careers in counseling, diagnostics, research and development, R&D, clinical assistance, physical rehabilitation, healthcare administration, and information technology. So just to briefly, very quickly, to speak about some of those options that you have. When you're looking at counseling, we are looking at people who can interact with those who want to make changes in their behavior, in their thought, in their attitudes, and in their actions. And this is something which ideally should not be done through pharmaceutical drugs. It should not be done with any kind of medical devices. We need to be able to address what is in their lifestyle, what is in their history, and be able to give them guidance, give them advice without any judgment, without any kind of misinterpretation. And so, mental health, and so under this, we are looking at both BSc psychology and BSc nutrition and dietetics, and even BA psychology. And so what we are looking at here are people who can understand why human beings, because our mind is so different from any other species on this planet, and why human beings behave in the way they do. What are all the attributes, both genetic, physical, biological, environmental, and historical, sociological events which have contributed to how each of us behaves and how each of us speaks, how each of us listens. And all of this is coming into play when you work in a counseling career. So very interesting, very challenging, because we don't have the kind of technology for the human mind as we do for the rest of the body. But again, if you have that kind of patience, that kind of empathy, that kind of desire to help people who are struggling every day of their life with controlling their emotions and actions, then please do get into this. Now, I think some of you might have been wondering what's the difference between BSc psychology and BA psychology. Both are very good careers to go into. Both are available at our university. And the difference possibly that in BSc psychology, we are looking at the approach more in biological terms. So in more scientific terms, we're looking at the biopsychology that goes into working with people who have a trouble in controlling themselves. And we're looking at a more scientific approach to the research that we will be doing. So all of the fields that you've seen, if you might be thinking that it's just hospital work, no, there's so much aptitude for research, for development in any kind of career you choose. So in psychology also, you will be encouraged to do a lot of research so that we can understand better and you may be able to bring something in which nobody else has found out yet through your research. So in psychology, the BSc psychology, the kind of research we're doing might be slightly different from the research we're doing in BA psychology. So BA, we're looking more into sociological aspects and sociological, anthropological kind of effects that are on individuals and populations. BSc psychology, we're looking more into physical and biophysical types of effects that are on individuals and populations. So very similar in terms, but it depends on what kind of approach you want to go for in this, and whether you do BA psychology or BSc psychology, you can go for a master's in MSc or MA. So in psychology as a field, very vast, very wide, very interesting, but it is all interconnected. So look at the syllabus which is offered to you in both BA and BSc and see whether you have that kind of natural connection to one or the other. So diagnostics is very interesting and it is very important. I would like to just take a moment to stress the importance of the diagnostic technologists. So what you are doing in diagnostics is the very first approach to a patient or to a disease that we are looking at. And some of the examples we've given here is medical lab technology, medical imaging technology, nuclear medicine technology, cardiac technology, optometry. These are professions where you use different equipment, different tests, different types of technology and different techniques in order to find out what is actually a problem inside a patient, inside a person. And the reason why we stress the importance of this is you will then go into the patient without having to actually go into the patient, using all the different techniques available to you, and you will pinpoint exactly what is wrong with that patient. Now, when you decide with your experience, with your knowledge, with your skills, what is not right with the patient, what is all right with the patient, then that report will then go to the rest of your healthcare team. Now, who is on your healthcare team? The physicians, the nurses, the pharmacists, everybody else is waiting for your report to tell them where there is a problem and where there is not a problem. Now, you can already start to see why this is so important. If you are not very careful in your work, if you are not very focused in your work, you may miss a problem that is there, or you may misdiagnose a healthy state as not healthy. Once that is conveyed to the rest of your team, the treatment which is given to your patient will be faulty. It will not be correct. And so, of course, everyone will make mistakes. Your other team members will make mistakes, but as far as possible, if you get into diagnostics, know that you have the ability to be focused on each individual and to know where you can tell exactly an accurate diagnosis for that person. So as we go forward with technology, we're not just looking at a bone, we're not just looking at an organ, we are looking at millimeters of each part of the body, and we're looking at what exactly is slightly deviated from the norm. So it is exciting, it is very interesting, and it is very important, and you will be looked on with that kind of respect by your colleagues because they know that you will be giving them the correct information. Research and development, we had already discussed before, so interesting, so exciting. And so what we understood about viruses over the last 100 years is still being worked on because the other aspects, the other factors which are affecting us keep changing. The atmosphere is changing, the climate is changing, the microorganisms are changing, our lifestyles are changing, the things that we are eating, the things that we are drinking and exposed to are changing, our materials, synthetic materials that we are using every day is changing. So all of this needs to be looked into, all of this needs to be studied, and it needs to be studied continuously because what we are learning in research in 2022 will be different in 2025. The same test, the same components components that we are using will give you a different result, because the world changes so quickly. And if we want to really live our best lives, we need to have a constant updated knowledge of and data of what is going on in the human world. So those of you who are able to really get into that kind of this is also a type of diagnostics, but we are diagnosing things out of a body setting, and we're diagnosing what is going on with the types of environments that we live in, and what are the treatments that we're giving to, what are the kind of things that we are doing as human beings to change the way that cells will react. So that also needs to be looked at continuously. And because of this, we are now having a much more safe and stable environment and healthcare system than we had 100 years ago, than we had 50 years ago, than we had even 30 years ago. We are in a much better place because our researchers are doing their job correctly, and because the developers are creating better techniques and modalities for us to use for other people. So clinical assistance, this is similar to the diagnostics, but then that you are working in a hospital, you're working with patients, you're working with your medical team, and but you are not doing diagnostics as solely, you are also working in a therapeutic system. So when we are looking at operation theater surgeries, we have a team who is working on the operation itself, and then we have a team who is working on the anesthesia. So that is two of the examples I've given here. We see operation theater technology, we see anesthesia technology, and in ICUs also we are having people who work with technology to maintain the body homeostasis in a way that will give them the best advantage to get better, to get healthy. So when we're in an operation theater, of course, it is very high stress and a high risk environment where we need the patient to be at their most stable at all times, from a second to second. We have to watch their stability, and we need them to be able to have the best biological responses to what the doctors are doing for them. So, and of course, if you're working in an operation theater, you should be mentally ready to see a lot of very graphic images, and you should be also able to react very quickly as your team needs you to. So it is a high stress, high risk, and high yield profession as well, because you are doing something very immediately to the patient, which will stop a disease and create a state of health. Physical rehabilitation is also very rewarding, because we are seeing that there are so many people who have disabilities, who are disabled because of different reasons. It could be biological, it could be a developmental disorder that they have, it could be a aging disorder that they have, it could be something cardiovascular like a stroke, it could be anything that has damaged the nerve supply or blood supply or growth of certain musculoskeletal systems. And they are people who, what we take for granted every day, the way we move around in our lives, they are not able to do. So we can offer them a method in which they can strengthen their bodies in a way, and strengthen their movements in a way that they can also enjoy their lives in the way that most of us can do so easily without a second thought. And this is also something which is very much required in other industries. So as I was saying, sports industry, sports athletes, professional athletes now are having such high expectations on them, and so much is required. And so we will now need to we will need to be able to offer them the best physical state that they can be in. So administration also, I was discussing earlier about the different opportunities that we have now in healthcare to build institutions, to build hospitals, to build anything new, using all the technology and all the knowledge and research that we have been using, that we have been getting so far, and in collaboration with our IT companies, we can start to really progress our healthcare systems into the future. Movies and TV shows, and we need people who can head these kind of programs and who can really make an impact on the healthcare industry. So I'm not going to take much more time for you. Now, many of you would like to know about your potential salary. It is very varied. I cannot give you a definite number because it varies from village to city, from city to city, from state to state, from country to country, from hospital to hospital, whether you're working in a small diagnostic center, a multi-specialty hospital. But one thing that you can be assured is that these are professions which are very, very much in demand, very important. So I think we've already got an idea of how valued the allied healthcare professionals are because of the kind of impact they make on the healthcare system. So if you are very good at what you do, if you can learn everything you need to, and if you can learn more than that and really bring something new into the healthcare system, you will be in high demand and people will offer you the kind of remuneration which will be befitting somebody of that worth, of that value. So don't worry about whether there will be a stable job or a good paying job. It will come to you as long as that you can prove that you have the worth for that. So another thing that we want to also emphasize is that along with the monetary gain, there is so much of professional satisfaction that you get when you're working in healthcare because you're working with such an intellectual team. You're working with doctors and nurses, dentists, pharmacists, and all of the other healthcare professionals that we were discussing before, the business developers, the IT heads, the technologists, the researchers, all of you will be collaborating on a daily basis and discussing such exciting things that are going on with your individual cases, with the advances that are coming forward, how you can really go forward. And these are people who are not just very highly intellectual, but highly compassionate as well. So that kind of environment itself is a great metric on which you can decide to choose a career for yourself. So I'm going to stop with that. And if we have any questions on this, we can just take those now before we go on to the next section. Sir, will I be able to read the questions or will they be read out?
Thank you very much for the informative session, and we are sure that the process of exploring and inquiring has begun in the minds of students and parents. Over to the moderator.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was indeed a wonderful session. It was highly informative and educative. Ma'am, actually, we have received a lot of questions in our different social media platforms. We have actually because of this time constraint, we have minimized it to 2 questions. First of all, ma'am, we would like to know about JAIN University's collaboration with the foreign universities. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Sir, can you ask your question again? Might ma'am is not understanding.
Ma'am, ma'am, can you hear me now, ma'am? I think there is a problem with the mic and all. Okay, so just 1 or 2 questions only were there, so we can just skip it, I think. Okay, like
No,
we can move
question?
on.
Can you ask the question again?
Sir, it is like we just wanted to know about JAIN University's collaboration with the foreign universities.
Okay, yeah, we called integrated program with along with all the allied health or commerce management. We used to give integrated program. We give tuition in our campus only. Along with that, like BCom or BSc or whatever BBA or BMS they are pursuing. So they can have international MOUs like in commerce management. If you see the popular is along with BCom, ACCA, we are giving 9 paper exemptions. Like somebody is interested only for science, then we have various kind of like in forensic science, we have fraud management from USA. So one who want to pursue forensic science with us, he can simultaneously study and have coaching for fraud management, that is US based integrated program. So along with whatever bachelor is doing, BA, BCom, BSc, BB or BMS, they can have at least one integrated program attached with that, so they can complete along with the bachelor. So they will be equipped with national plus international. So like they will be in a better position for the placement, and they will be more confident, and they are having equipped with more knowledge skills. Because nowadays, along with academic, if you don't have knowledge, if you don't have skills, you are nothing. A skill is basically, it's a kind of another, like another degree. It's a practical degree you are having along with your bachelor degree, whatever you are pursuing. So skills required. If you are somebody who cannot write, he is not illiterate. Illiterate person, he don't have skills, updated skills. So we teach student as per the available of all latest skills. So these international programs, they help because the student would be updated and he can pursue career in 180 countries all over the world.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to the MCs.
Thank you very much for the insightful answers. Those who have queries can access the mobile app and the questions will be directly addressed. Over to you, Harini.
As we draw the end of this enriching session, I deem it my privilege to propose the vote of thanks. We extend our heartfelt thanks to our eminent speaker, Professor ARUN JS, and also Dr. Grace from JAIN University for their words of motivation. Thank you, sir. We express our gratitude to the spokesperson from the JAIN University for sharing the details and giving us an overview of the career guidance. Thank you, ma'am. Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Chairman Dr. Shivakumar Manikam and the members on the Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. Our heartfelt thanks to the President, Mr. Ajayan Payara, and the members of the Indian School Bausha Management Committee, and the Principal of the school, Dr. Bhavesh Balera. We request the participants to kindly fill in the feedback form posted in the chat window. Heartfelt thanks to our platinum sponsor, JAIN deemed to be University, gold sponsor, De Montfort, silver sponsors, Dallas Baptist University, USA, Grey Matters, SP Jain School of Global Management, Sri Ramachandra Institute of Higher Education and Research, and bronze sponsors, Middle East College and SP Jain School of Global Management. Digital marketing partner, Spectrum and Trefoil. Media partner, The Arabian Stories, and other valued sponsors. Now, let us watch a video of our valued sponsor.
Thank you very much. An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you to the ISB team for making Avenir 2022 possible. Thank you to each and every teacher, student, and parent for being a part of this beautiful session.
Finding your passion is the key to your success. With these uplifting words, I, Sri Rangaharini,
And I, Rayan Abdullah,
wish you all a glorious day ahead. Before we sign off, let me remind you of the upcoming sessions. The upcoming sessions scheduled for today, 14th October 2022, are the online sessions for engineering, humanities, and commerce will begin from 4:30 p.m. onwards. A gentle reminder to fill the feedback form. You can provide your feedback on the Avenir website, www.avenirroman.com. Every attendee who submits the feedback form will receive a digital certificate. See you in the next session. Stay tuned and stay safe.